Hello and welcome back to the Beginner Review Series, episode number 2. I'll be honest, when I first saw the starting deal here, I was pretty afraid that this would end up being a pretty sad game to look over because this is a terrifying layout to start with. You see only a couple ones, you don't see any connecting twos, and then everything on chop seems to be, really good and really hard to save. So yeah, we're gonna probably end up losing green 3, red 4, green 4, maybe purple 3, maybe red 3. There's and then little does Alice know, she also has a good card. But fortunately, I do hope that looking over it will be actually really helpful, because I won't spoil things too much, but let's just say the team does their best. And actually, yeah, they also employ some cool tactics that are sort of a step up. So I hope you stick around and learn some new tactics. So Alice starts off super nice and simple, just a 1's clue. Bob only has a few more clues left to give already, so yellow seems natural. Best way forward is just to draw more cards. Alright, Kathy drew 1, but it's not exactly the one we were hoping for. This is an important moment. If you haven't seen this before, let's think about Donald's turn. We've already extinguished, from his perspective, all the playables. There are no, 2s to save, no 5s in danger right away. So you might say, all right, Donald should just discard. But hear me out. Long ago, years ago, some very, very smart Hanabi players realized that, maybe that's a little bit aggressive, because this card to be, and actually is, almost certainly a good card, right? This card could be any 3. It's probably not a 5, because someone might have warned them about it, but whatever. Point is, Donald should absolutely not be thrilled about needing to discard here. So, in this situation, we have this concept of the early game. The early game is defined as the start of the game up until the first person discards the card. And the way we like to think about it is that we really want to extend the early game. We want to encourage people to not rush into discarding, and instead give as many, useful clues as possible. But it's not that easy, right? Because, well, yeah, you can't just give any random clue, because it'll be interpreted as a play clue. So, a really nice compromise that was decided is this concept of a 5 stall. Watch, okay, so Donald clues 5 here. Now, it's kind of weird, right? Because this 5 is definitely not in danger. It's not about to be discarded, far from it. But the reasoning is that, we're going to have to clue this eventually. And who knows, for all Donald knows, maybe this card is yellow too, right? We just want to give our team a chance to protect cards, or at least keep you busy, and it's a really useful way to help mitigate the risk of losing cards really fast. Yes, so this is a 5 stall. The important thing to remember is just that it's an allowable thing to do in the early game. If the only other option is to just discard. It's turn 4. This is Donald's first turn of the game. So we'd much prefer Donald to, just pass the ball back and see if there's anything else for the team to do before you discard what's valuable. Yeah, and strap in, because there's going to be a lot of this sort of protection game happening in this review. So, okay, Donald indeed clues 5. Now let's talk about something definitely more fancy. Like we said, we'd really, really like to protect these cards. Is there some way we can keep Kathy busy this round? Well, this is going to be a brand new concept. I guess I touched on it last video, and I said it's a little bit more advanced, but I think you're all ready for it. So here we go. Alice discards the yellow 1. This is actually such an elegant strategy. We call this the another silly name, the gentleman's discard, because it's a very polite, gentlemanly thing to do, you could say, to discard this card. And now let's think about it from Kathy's perspective. She doesn't see a yellow one anywhere else, so it must mean that Kathy has the yellow one. Okay, but where? Long story short, it's basically promised as exactly something you can play right away. And if that doesn't really make sense, let's think about a world in which, I don't know, let's say this is the yellow one, right? Would it ever be a good idea for Alice to discard this card just to force Bob to spend another clue to clue this card? You know, that seems absurd. That's spending a whole extra clue on a card that was already gotten. So that's basically the logic behind this. The discard is only good if it is promising that she can play her card right now. And yeah, see what this does, right? The yellow one's going to play, and some card is going to be discarded. Well, which card would we prefer to be discarded? This yellow one, or this red four. Alice discards, things are drying up, but there's one last clue that should be gotten. Yeah, clue the ones. Now, this might feel like a weird clue, but it's fine. It just means that we're going to have to come back to Donald later and tell him that this is a duplicate, and not to play both of these. Kathy, yeah, literally has nothing else to do except play, so she blind plays. Ooh, I might do a whole video on this soon, but basically Donald decides to play this one. That's sort of more natural. So we are actually in a little bit of luck now. Kathy drew another one. Fortunately, this time it's a good one. But there's another important thing that needs to happen. Here's another new concept for you. How can we fix the situation and tell Donald not to play this? There's something called a fix clue. And I think it's what Alice does right now. Purple. But hold on, Piano Blue. This is dangerous. Why wouldn't Donald just think this is purple too? Well, it's a good question. Fair point. Basically, that's just a very greedy interpretation, and basically we don't play that way. That's too much to ask. I think the easiest way to put it is that a clue cannot be both a play clue and a fix clue, right? The signal that's being conveyed to Donald here is obviously that this purple one should not be played, right? If Alice did not give this clue, this one would play and cause a bomb. So the fact that this purple clue identifies this as trash is enough, right? Once that is the message, and the message cannot be both that and also to play this. Indeed, this is actually just a really sick clue. It fixes the problem and also identifies these as purple cards that Donald will now hold on to. Bob, yep, pretty simple. Clues blue. Play that. Donald can discard. And now they finally caught some luck here and drew green 1, green 2. So Alice must be delighted here. Actually, can you spot the clue? Ta-da, 3s. So we got a reverse double finesse. It is actually still early game though, right? Early game, even though, I guess I wasn't clear about this. Technically people have discarded, but the only cards that have been discarded have, thankfully, been known trash, right? This card was discarded, but only because the other one showed up. And this one was discarded, but only because it was a dupe. So we actually do consider this still to be the early game. And what that means is that Bob should still try his best to not discard yet. One, because, you know, this could be a really good card. And two, actually, and this is just in general, Bob's like pretty claustrophobic, right? Bob already has 3 good cards in his hand, and it'd actually be very awkward to discard. And, you know, what if he just draws a 5? So yeah, Bob decides to spread the love a little bit and chill out. And, you guessed it, do another 5 stall. With that, we come to, I think, where things get really tricky. So here we go. You can see by empathy, meaning, you know, if Kathy looks at her cards, she literally knows that this card on her chop is never trash. I guess it could be exactly the other green 3, but it's basically always some 3 or 4. So she'd really love to not discard. She also looks to other hands and sees if anything else is in danger. And sure enough, there is something in huge danger, this blue 3. And kind of like we said about, you know, why we did this discard to protect this. Now Kathy should be really trying her best to protect this, because we have the blue 3 here. We see the blue 4, blue 5. So if we could just hold on to this blue 3 for just a few turns and draw a blue 2, just imagine, right? If this gets discarded and then a blue 2 shows up later, oof. I can tell you from personal experience, it feels awful. So Kathy would very much like to avoid that. But I hear you say, what the heck can she do about it? Think about it for a sec. I'll give you a hint. This is a fancier version of a concept that we did last video. Think about it, think about it. Boom. There it is, a ones clue. Well, let's talk about Alice in a second. But Donald's turn is obvious. He's playing, he's been promised the green 1, so he plays the green 1. Okay, so now let's talk about the ones clue. If you remember back last video, I think Kathy clued like a bunch of 1s to protect one card on someone's chop. And this is just the same. It's telling Alice, please, 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 I do not want you to discard this card or any of these cards. So please actually skip all of those discards. And if you're going to discard, here's a safe discard. It's telling Alice to save all of these cards. I love this convention, and it's actually one of the ones that I think is really intuitive. This is called a trash chop move, because it's moving Alice's chop away from all these and going all the way up to her slot 1. So these cards are all going to be saved for later. Okay, so with that, Alice has a safe discard. I know, it's very funny that we ended up drawing exactly the other blue 3, but you know, you can't know that until it's drawn, so... So Bob now is in on everything that's happening. He saw the green 1 blind play, so that confirms that this is indeed green 3. So he knows this is going to play, so now he can actually clue the green 4. Like we said, we really don't want Bob to be discarding right now, especially when Donald has trash, Bob is about to play, and yeah, so let's just get tempo on this card, get that to play as fast as possible. Kathy finally can blind play the green 2, as planned. It is still an early game, remember. The third discard was also known trash, so... But finally, Donald surveys the field and realizes that everything has been clued, all the 5s have been stalled, some good cards have been touched, and also... Unlike before, right, when it was like turn 4, now there's just no way that this is a really, really useful card, right? This has been sitting here the whole game, so he discards it. What's next? Let's consider Alice's options. Does she share the similar view that everything's fine and no cards are in danger? I'll test you on this one, because... Turns out I do see a card that's actually very important and very much in danger. And it is the purple 4. Yeah, I'm actually very glad this game is really hammering this point home. Once again, we would really love for this card to be saved and not discarded. Because we see the purple 1, we have the purple 3 and the purple 5. So once again, I know this, I'm a broken record today. It'd be a big shame to lose this purple 4 only to draw a purple 2 right around the bend. Or again, like I said, right, if the other purple 4 is on the bottom of the deck, you can just straight up lose the game. So, Alice does another trash chop move. I think if I were Donald, I would probably guess... This is a good exercise, by the way, to kind of think to yourself what it could be. It's probably not a blue 4 because we see the duplicate. It's not a yellow 4, probably, because we see the duplicate there. Oh, actually, sorry. I should also state, right, it's never a 5, right? because a 5 is already savable. If this was actually yellow 5, yeah, you never have to trash chop move a 5. Just clue the 5 directly. So generally, when you see a trash chop move on a single card, you actually know that it's some otherwise unsavable card. So anyway, in this case, it is pretty much exactly, what is it, yellow 3 or purple 3 or purple 4, based on whatever these are. So Donald plays the 3 into the 4, and thank God, look at that, we got the green, or sorry, the red 2. Okay, Kathy's turn. I actually think Kathy's move here is probably a mistake, but I think it's important to talk about. This is, I think, this is a tricky spot. The team has one clue left, and kind of like Donald's discard here, right? We said, it's turn 20. This has been sitting here the whole game. No one's clued it at all. Might as well chuck it. And Kathy's in a very similar spot here. This card has been right here this whole time. Obviously, the team has just clued 5s, trash chop move of 4. So, what can this really be? But that said, you have to be really careful here, because actually, if you think about it, this card could definitely be exactly red 4. And if it is exactly red 4, it would actually be a big shame to lose it. Whoops. So it's actually very lucky that Kathy has the other red 4 here. So I think this is actually a true mistake. I think Kathy failed to recognize that this could have been a unique red 4. And let's just imagine a world in which this card was not exactly the other red 4. Let's say it was a red 1, whatever. The point is that this red 2 just showed up. The fact that this 2 just showed up means that this absolutely could still be a red 4. So what I would advise Kathy to do is to clue red to Bob. So notice Donald would have 0 clues left, but Donald's going to discard. And now the point is, Alice actually will have a chance to clue this 4, if it is actually playable. Ta-da! 4. And now things are golden, right? You play this, and everything is pretty safe. I will just say, I think there are counter arguments to be had here. This is why I left this in the game. I think there's a reasonable debate here. Having this be a unique red 4 is the only way this card is ever bad to discard. And there are actually ways that not discarding here could kind of screw the team. Because if this is trash, if the team is actually really wanting Kathy to discard here, then it's actually pretty awkward to have to use the team's last clue just getting this touched, right? And that's because, this is going to discard. Okay, well, guess what? What if this is suddenly a 5? And let's say Alice plays this, Bob plays this. This is true nightmare scenario, right? Let's say, what else would be a really scary thing to draw here? Yellow 3. Now all of a sudden, things are really bad. It's Kathy's turn, what the heck? Now you're really regretting being at 1 clue rather than 2 or 3. So this is actually a pretty interesting spot, I think, in terms of risk assessment. So Kathy does indeed decide to discard. Feel free to leave a comment what you think about this clue. Would you clue red here, or would you discard? But I actually do believe this is probably the more common action. So let's do that. Instantly, Donald clues red. And the day is saved, because now we get a very lovely finesse and a prompt. So Alice plays the green 4, Bob blind plays the 2. Now that the 2 showed up, we have indeed protected the whole purple suit, and Kathy can do a pretty monster clue. As always, see if you can spot it. Donald knows this about his hand. So Kathy does the lovely 5 reclue. So Donald is delighted to see this, because guess what? Now he sees that purple 2 is going to blind play, and that now he's being prompted, this is the purple 3, and that now the purple 4 is here. If you're being told you have 2 cards, you should assume that the clued one is the next you should play. or someone will give you a fixed clue, whatever. But anyway, yeah. So 5. Okay. Discard. And now another 2 shows up. They always show up eventually. And now Alice is delighted to see the yellow 2, yellow 3, yellow 4. Alright, see if you can spot this clue. Again, this is tight, right? This is only 1 clue to spare, so... But, even though we did all these 5 stalls and trash chop moves, you can see how it was very slow, but now it's going to make things very smooth to play out. So Alice can actually straight up clue 4. Play clue here. Once again, this is another double finesse. Very cool. It's getting yellow 2. Kathy actually immediately knows what's happening because there are no other 4s to be gotten, right? Meaning this is exactly yellow 3, and this is exactly yellow 2. And actually Bob could actually blunder the game here. If Bob does do what you normally are supposed to do, then blind play first, then whoops, you just screwed up big time. Because now, guess what? You left Kathy with 0 clues, with a locked hand. Yeah, there's nothing she can play, nothing she can safely discard. So that would be a huge problem. So Bob actually has to do some evasive maneuvering here and actually play the red 3 first. And yeah, that's just because he calculates out, right? This is going to play, this can play. Donald has a play. Alice discards trash, and now, beautifully, everything unwinds perfectly. Now Bob plays the 2. Now Kathy plays the 3. Now Donald plays the 3. Blue 4 is still in danger. So let's see what Alice does to remedy the situation. Yes, indeed. Bob does 1 more trash chop move. If you look at the empathy, Bob knows this is exactly blue 4, which is kind of cool. Okay, discard. Oh, shout out. This is a high level thing, but I'll show you this just to ponder because it's cool. Imagine Alice clues yellow here. Just think about it for a second. Think about it from Donald's perspective. This is just clued as a yellow, and this is all Donald knows about his hand. Just a thought. I'm sure in a future video I'll talk about that. But okay, 1s is very nice too. Trash chop move, discard, play. Final play here. I guess I'll mention, right? Remember how we talked about the gentleman's discard back here? Discarding here to give Kathy a play. Notice the only reason she did that is because she wanted to keep Kathy busy, because this card was not trash. But in this case, even though this is known purple 4, you might think, well, why doesn't Donald do a gentleman's discard here to get this to play? Well, in this case, it's because there's no benefit. There's absolutely no benefit to that. And we'd rather just play. Keep it simple. So sure enough, Alice discards. Bob has a nice clue. Bob does not want to discard because he has 2 good cards already to handle. Other people can draw at this point, right? Play. Everyone else can play and draw cards. And once again, right? He could discard, but someone has to clue this. It might as well be Bob. So he clues the 5. Okay, discard, play, and finally, 3 cards from the bottom. We got our first blue 2. The deck really tried to make things tough here, but to no avail. Alice clues the 2 directly. Bob can clue blue here. This might look a little weird, but it's very obvious. This is exactly the 3, right? Because this was saved long ago as a trash chop move. You wouldn't trash chop move a playable card. You just clue it if that was the 2. So anyway, yeah, when the blue clue is gotten, it's obvious that this is the 3. Kathy politely touches the 4, and then play, G, freaking G. Like I said, this is a pretty intense game. Well, actually, let's just notice, let's look at the discard at the end of the game. We never risked any card being at the bottom of the deck. The closest we came was this really awkward spot. But if you go back to the beginning, right, I definitely did not think the team would be able even playing very cautiously, sometimes, yeah, you're just going to lose some cards. But, with the right tools and the right patience, we got the gentlemen's, we got nice 5 stalls, we got the nice fix clues. Yeah. And then we started, I think we saw 3 different trash chop moves. I guess the main takeaway from this game is protect your chops and protect your teammates' chops. Trash chop moves are awesome, 5 stalls are awesome, Hanabi's awesome, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.